Thursday. Welcome back to Wager Talk TV. This is First Pitch, a 7-day-a-week show. Join me today, Dave Koken, as usual, Tony Finn, and Marco D'Angelo. Marco, we'll start with you. How are things?
I'm doing good. Last few days of the Major League Baseball season, so trying to get to the finish line. And college football, real college football, I guess, starts this weekend because the SEC's in town. You know we were all waiting for them. Just ask them; they'll tell you. They're what it's all about. So exciting week here, and picking some winners last weekend in football. Knock on wood, I've been selective in college football, but we're off to a 71% start. I'm trying to keep up with the old man there, but this guy's like a machine when it comes to college football.
Well, congratulations first off, Marco. And I do have a coupon code that'll be applicable for all of us. I'll mention here in a few minutes. But what can we grab from you over at the website right now?
Well, today I do have a play up on the Thursday night game, and I will also have some baseball. I'll be adding that after the show. And this Sunday, I'm going to be releasing my 5% NFL game of the month. So we've got a package up where you can get the whole Sunday card for $39, where if you buy the 5% by itself, it's $40, but you do get the guarantee, or you can go $39 and get all my plays on Sunday. No guarantee.
Mr. Tony Finn, you woke up today, obviously. Did you piss off the wife today yet? Or?
Of course. Good.
How are things, man? How was last night for you?
Last night was pretty good. I went 3-0. I hit my basketball total in the NBA, and I won both my baseballs. I thought that was fortunate too.
Well, congratulations to you
Thank you.
Well. Sounds like we're off to a pretty good start to this panel. As far as the weekend goes, if I don't see you again, what do you want to tell our viewers to go grab from you?
I have a position tonight in the NBA game, and I have one baseball. I've yet to load them because I'm waiting on. I should say I'm pending on the baseball. Still looking for a lineup on this time of year. I want to be a little more careful, and I'll have college. I would have already had college loaded, guys. I apologize, but I needed to check some things, and it's just this year's just so much different. I'd had those up already, Yeah, right. But soon to be.
How's it going with you, Dave?
Well, Ramon Laureano is now my favorite player in the major leagues because he had a 2-run homer with 2 outs in the ninth last night in a game that I thought was going to get away with Oakland because they led the whole game and then the Dodgers caught up, and it's like you better win this now, and it doesn't look like they're going to. But ninth inning, they get a single, they get a stolen base, which was I thought, well, that gives us a shot here, get a single, and then Laureano hits the ball over the wall. And that was delightful. So nice score last night. Baseball's on a pretty good roll last few days. College football, I've got my record on the year is now 4 wins, 1 loss, and 3 cancellations. So,
include that stat, Dave?
What's that?
I said, it's bad when you actually have to include that as a stat.
Yeah, I've had a knack for finding those games so far, and there might still be a couple more cancellations because reading the news, there's some issues out there with a couple of games, so stay tuned on that. And I won't have a 5% play this week because that was Notre Dame, and that game it got canceled before I even posted it. So no harm, no foul as far as that's concerned. But I don't move up a play just to sell something, so I'm not going to do that. So I've got 2 college games, 1 baseball game as of now, tracking the PGA because I've got a bunch of matchups that I played. And we'll get back to work on the colleges and the NFL after the show. And we'll not be parlaying any of these.
Sounds good to me. For myself, I do have 5% play up on tonight's NFL Thursday night football game. My first 5% release of the NFL season, off to a 5-2 start, and 3-0 on the primetime games, if that means anything to anybody out there. As far as this weekend goes, I'm going to have also more NFL games, but I have UFC. I'm back in action in the UFC. The run continues, 13-2. Last 15, 4% plays. We're going right back to it. 4% plays, low volume. I have 2 for this weekend. And guys, I have a coupon code. I have my 5%. I want to give a discount to our viewers, but I also want to include, of course, you guys, the panel, all the packages you guys have up. Use the coupon code DAILY10, guys. DAILY10 for $10 off any play worth $25 or more. That's for Dave Koken, Tony Finn, or Marco D'Angelo. Also myself. You can use that as many times as you want. Expires at midnight tonight. So I just want to grab that, and hopefully everyone can get a good start to their weekend with that. Also, before we get going, guys, we can't forget that great deal. I mean, that one I just said is a daily deal, as we know. But this one here, 60 days of action. Any of your favorite handicappers, both Wager Talk or Sports Memo, $378. Guys, it's $349 for 1 month. Like $378 for 60 days. One of the best deals you'll find around. So head over and grab that at both websites, sportsmemo.com and wagertalk.com. Marco, I want to start with you with the Rockies and the Giants here, Gonzalez and Gosman.
Yeah, Giants and Rockies, you look at this one, this is a spot where, San Francisco, still in it, trying to get into the playoffs. You look at Colorado, they have not been a good team down the stretch. For me, I don't want to lay the price in this game, but I am looking at the total. I'm looking at the total of this one. Colorado's gone over in 16 of 20 games. This is a quirky stat. This is one of those ones where we talk about Thursdays, and because I'm always on Thursdays, we get to talk about getaway days. And I got a couple stats involving teams today on Thursdays, and this is one of them with Colorado. I think we're going to see some runs in this game. Gosman's pitched well for the Giants recently, 4 runs in his last 3 starts. The one concern with him is the walks. And in that span, in the last 2 starts, he's given up 6 walks. If he starts losing control and putting runners on base, that's when things can get ugly. And that's the only reason why I'm not back in San Francisco for the game in this one. But if I had to, I would lean to San Francisco, but I like the over better in this one.
The thing on Gosman is that he's getting great movement on his pitches, especially that splitter. And it basically looks like a strike, and then it ends up almost in the dirt. So if teams can lay off that, they've got a good chance of getting favorable counts and maybe getting those free passes. Whether the Rockies are disciplined enough to do that remains to be seen. But in support of your over, Chichi Gonzalez on the mound for Colorado, and I just don't know how he's in the majors. I really don't. There's no way I can make a case for Colorado here. Giants, 2 good wins, bouncing back off a tough weekend in Oakland, and then losing on Monday when they got shut down by Marquez, and I lost that game. They've come back with 2 good wins the last 2 nights, and with some of the other teams struggling, Giants have put themselves in decent position. They've got to wrap up with the Padres after this, but it's a very important game for the Giants. Yeah. I mean, they cannot blow this. This is the easiest game for them on their remainder of their schedule, so they really need the game. But again, the price is exorbitant. So I can't argue with your over, though. I think that makes some sense, Marco.
Yeah, Tony, like Dave said, not just good wins, but promising victories for them by margin. But like we said, the price there is pretty high here tonight. What are your thoughts on this game?
The price is high. And yesterday I played San Francisco originally with Webb, and I got it early enough. It was $1.68 or 70, and that's a lot. I think it's a lot playing a team that I believed was going to be at the bottom of that division and struggle all year. I think all of us would agree that 2 months ago, But so then they make a pitching change, and I'm looking at it, and I almost to the word thought the same thing Dave did, and that is, wow, 225. I can't remember the last time I laid 225 on a baseball game. Save everything pointed to this being a no-brainer, and if they're going to win a game, this is going to be one of them. I laid it. I felt pretty fortunate, right? Tonight, Gosman, listen, he was pretty good last couple times, guys. Last time I think it was 2 6-inning games where you allowed 1 earned run in both. There's some concern not only with the command, but there was concern with his health. But it looks like he's okay. They did an MRI on him about a week and a half ago, and seems to be okay. That's my concern with Gosman. But wow, guys, again, I said this last week a couple times, and that is if you told me I was going to be laying a 225, 250 on Gosman to win, I would have said, shoot me, put me out of my misery, because I'm not thinking straight. Here we are. If Dave's right, they've won these last 2 games. This is a big game, and all things being equal, Chichi Rodriguez Shouldn't. Dave, he shouldn't be in the major leagues, in my opinion. He has 7% swinging strike rate, 50% hard contact. Tough to make a living as a pitcher with that.
They'd be better off with Chichi Rodriguez, who I think died several years ago.
Did I say Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Rodriguez? Yeah, you're right. You're right.
One of my favorite golfers of all time, by the way. He was an absolute blast to watch. And he was really good too.
Yeah.
Tony, we're going from a game, like we've said a couple times, with the massive number here, down to a more of a pick'em game here. The Mets and the Nats, Peterson and Corbin. We'll start off with you, Tony.
I wish I could say I would play Corbin here at this price. I normally would. The other things, again, all things can be equal, but I can't. He's just not been very good this year. He's it's been up, it's been down, and in this situation, it's tough to rely on Peterson. I passed in this game.
Yeah, look, the Nationals are facing a lefty, and that's the one thing they've done in championship form this year. Everything else has been bad, but they've hit lefties. And they're facing one today in Peterson, who's done a nice job for the Mets. Not a lot has been good for the Mets this season. Obviously, they're 25-31, I think it is. So they're not going to the playoffs. But Peterson's been a pleasant surprise, and he looks like a guy who's going to fit into their rotation next season. Corbin was just battered last start, and this is his final appearance for this season. I think he wants to go out with a good taste in his mouth. He's facing a team that has not done well against lefties this year. The Mets have a poor record against lefties. Their offensive numbers aren't bad, but they just never win against lefties. Money came in at the open on Washington, and I don't disagree with that. I was a little baffled as to why the Mets were installed as short road favorites in this game. I think the price is more where it's supposed to be now with the Nationals as the favorite. And I will mention this. Just a quick note: the sharpest house locally, at least in my opinion, the sharpest house locally is higher on this game than anybody else, for what that's worth.
Marco, I would agree with Dave. I like the Nationals here, and I think that they're going to play this season full through, and we're going to get a good start out of Corbin. Would you agree with that side?
You know, I agree with all of the numbers. The left-handers with Washington and everything. I have two concerns in this game about Washington, though, and we did see a big move. I mean, we're talking about opened up Mets minus 120, and we're now, Washington minus 120. We're talking about, 40 cents of movement. Now, 40 cents of movement when you're crossing through the zero, it's like in football when you go from a 2-point favorite to a 2-point dog. Yeah, it's a 4-point move, but it's not the same as a 4-point move when you're talking from 3 to 7 in regards. But here's my concern, and I was worried about Washington just throwing in a towel with the season. They're the defending world champs. They're not going to the playoffs and everything. And they showed up for the Philadelphia series. I'll give them credit for that. Now my question is, do they build on that and finish the season? Because they're playing another team that is, and also ran out of the playoffs. Do they have the motivation to, they were in a spoilers role before. I just question that. The stats there with the left-handers, and I'll throw in, not only are they have a good record against left-handers, but if you want to look to the total, this season, in those 15 games against lefties, they've gone over the total in 13 of the 15 games. Yesterday, I was on the over with the Washington game, and it looked a little scary for most of the game, and then the bullpen imploded in the late innings, which in my write-up for the game yesterday, I had pointed out that was Washington's 9th game in 6 days. This is their 10th game in 7 days. Wow. The bullpen's tired. They're trying to get to the finish line. All these doubleheaders late in the season trying to make up the games. It's got to take its toll somewhere. And we've seen several games this week, and I happen to be on 2 of them, that you could put in the bad beat category if you had the under. I had Atlanta 2 days ago that put up a bunch of runs in the last 2 innings in that game as well. The bullpens are tired. So caution if you're using unders. If I'm using unders, I'm looking at first fives for sure, these final few games.
We talked about that early in the season and mainly all season long, but definitely around these times, Marco. And sometimes you get so wrapped up, you're breaking down games, you're talking about a sport so often, whether it's for me, MLB, NHL, NBA. I'm out to dinner last night and I had someone, just chatting about sports with them, and they don't really follow baseball too much, Marco, and they're saying to me, like, so what's going on? Like, how are these teams playing so many games, or what mark are they at already in the short period of time? Because I said to Andrew, didn't they just start playing like, a short time ago? And I said, yeah, they're playing 60 games, and it's almost playoff time. So it's a great point. And these teams, you can definitely tell some of these bullpens are certainly getting tired. And hopefully as a team collectively, we can take advantage of that. I want to say a quick hello to our guys in the chat box here. Robert McIntosh, Nate, Terry Edelman, all of you guys asking questions about certain games. If you're around, I hope you still are around for when you do get to that game. You can ask that if it's kind of urgent or anything about a lineup or a player. We'll try and get to that right away. But Dustin, Nate, all the usual guys, we appreciate you tuning in. You guys know who you are. Very loyal viewership right here on the show. If you're just tuning in, if you're tuning in late, don't forget that coupon code DAILY10 for $10 off any play worth $25 or more at wagertalk.com, applicable for Dave, Tony, Marco, and myself. Dave, I'm going to start with you with this next one here. This is one where, I always say this, and you'll joke back to me and say, well, I mean, I wish I knew the scores of yesterday's games today, or the games before it happened. But I regret not being on that first half under yesterday with the White Sox and Indians, and I think all of us probably do. But what are your thoughts here today as Keuchel and the White Sox take on the Indians?
Yeah, look what happened. The White Sox are suddenly not in first place. The Twins jumped over them. So, I mean, that division looked like it was theirs, and now it's not. And Cleveland's gotten hot. Plesac continues to pitch well. Keuchel was said he was not real. I don't remember the exact words he used, but I think he felt some rust last start after he had the back issue and missed the start. So I would expect him to be better today. Maybe the same thing happens here, where it's a low-scoring pitcher's duel early with two good guys on the mound in Keuchel and Plesac. And unlike, last night where you had Bieber and Bieber, if there was any question left about who was going to win the American League Cy Young, it got answered last night. No question, that's done. Now you've got a 4 with the under juiced, or 3.5 where you can get even money on the under. I guess that's the way I'd look at it. I mean, I think the pitchers are going to do well here.
Is there a play for you, side or total, Tony?
Well, if I've talked about this. I really didn't. I thought I'd play against. I thought it without question. Plesac's numbers last year and his peripherals pointed to a guy who was going to suffer regression. He hasn't. He's proven me wrong. Not only he's proven me wrong, his peripherals this year speak to him being the real deal. As much as I like Keuchel and what he's done this year, he in this game right here. I cannot stand in front of Cleveland, even though they clinched last night. They got more to do. I would support Plesac, and in truth, the price is pretty good.
Yeah, Marco, we used the word clinching. We've talked about that over the past couple of days here on the show. What are your thoughts on situations like that as we see one right here?
Well, definitely, it's been a long adage that you like to go against teams the day after they clinch because they supposedly might have, a cocktail or two after celebrating in the locker room and such. Not that ball players do anything like that.
Never.
But, you look at this one, guys, and I'm going to say one guy that I was totally wrong on coming into the season. I did not see this season coming from Dallas Keuchel. I did not expect him to have the year that he's had. And Dave, you said he talked about rust in the last game. Well, if throwing 4 shutout innings is rust, I hate to see what's going to happen, tonight when he's on his normal days, rotation rest. This is a stone cold under to me looking at these two pitchers. The White Sox, the last 4 games, 4-game losing streak, they've scored 12 runs in those 4 games. They're not hitting the baseball right now. And man, they're, not only did they, as Dave said, they got leapfrog, they heard the footsteps coming and those footsteps ran them over. So how they respond now, dropping back into second place with just a few games left is going to be key to see how this young team does it. I like the under. I'm going to go the first 5 innings, and I'll give you another stat with the White Sox. They're 8-1 to the under this year when they're coming off back-to-back losses to the same team. Also, Keuchel, when he pitches the last 2 seasons against division opponents, so that's not just this year, 14-2 to the under. He gets up for the division games. I'm going first 5 under. I'll take the juice and go the 4 because I think it's a huge difference on the juice on a 4 and a 3.5 because we got to get to 5 to lose this wager. And I just don't see 5 runs in the first 5 innings with these two pitchers the way they're pitching. That's my play here.
I got to mention something because I marked this down and said I got to mention this. This kid the White Sox have brought up for the bullpen, Crochet. He was just drafted this past spring. I think he was the 11th pick overall. And the scouts said he might have gone higher than that if they'd had a full college season. Holy smokes. Is this guy going to be a handful? He's a lefty, and he's basically a 2-pitch guy, fastball and slider, but he's a triple digit. I mean, you don't see this very often. This is like Aroldis Chapman type numbers. He's throwing 101, and he's got a nasty slider with that. This guy's going to get used right away in the playoffs for the White Sox, and when you see him come out, and you know, who's this guy? He is nasty, and he could be one of those guys who makes a big name for himself in the postseason if the White Sox have any kind of a run. He's definitely going to get used, and I think he's going to get used in high-leverage situations right away.
Marco, I don't know if you've been hanging around with Ralph Michaels quite a bit or you're just bringing your stuff today, but loving the stats today, especially the total stuff. Great work, great stuff from you there. Guys, this next game, you guys know I'm a Jays fan living here in the East Coast in Canada. Yankees taking on the Jays. What a weird series this has been. You know, what weird matchups in general the Yankees and the Jays have seen. It's just lopsided one way or the other. I don't think we've really seen too many close contests here. Now with Montgomery and Ryu on the mound, what are your thoughts on this one, Tony?
I've never been a big fan of Montgomery, and he hasn't changed my mind this year a whole lot. He's not fly ball heavy, but he's still fly ball heavy. And in truth, this isn't a game. I know this is a game the Yankees would like to win, but this Toronto team is. I've stepped in front of them a couple times this year, and I seem to have just be off with them. I passed on this game, although I would lean the Jays.
But I did think it was a bad line on this game.
Yeah.
The opening line. I mean, how do you make? I mean, Rio's a good pitcher. I'm a big fan, actually.
Right.
But how do you make Toronto like what was 130 or something on the opening line? It's like that's an awful number. In that they're gonna get loads of Yankee money here because the Yankees have been winning like crazy, and they're a popular public team anyway. And sure enough, the Yankees are now the favorite in the game. So the value's completely shot, which was there on the Yankees. I'm not betting against them, but it's too late to bet on them.
Marco, obviously I want to get your thoughts on the side here, but we've seen some high totals between these two teams, some big scores. What are your thoughts on this one as far as the total goes with Ryu and Montgomery on the mound?
Well, you said it. One of the two teams is pounding the other team. The one team is getting the total by themselves. So, that's why we're getting the total. I just can't back Montgomery here. I like the way the Yankees are playing. Now, I didn't expect the performance they had yesterday, especially with the starting pitcher getting, knocked around. This is a game, though. I'll say this. I'll pull you another stat out for you. When Ryu pitches at home, the guy has been just absolute dynamite. His team wins when he's on the mound, 14-0, and home games over that's against division opponents. Home games overall, 25-4 when he starts the last 3 seasons. Now, I know, this year is an anomaly with, no fans and everything else, but that's a 3-year stat, 25-4. This guy just pitches well at home. I'm not jumping in front of him. In Toronto, they had a little bit of a slide there, but they got the ship righted again. You might have something to cheer about with Toronto for a change, Andrew. I know it's been a drought up there, but they're an exciting team, and they got a good pitcher on the mound. I got to look at Toronto if I'm playing this one. I just do not like Montgomery, and especially if Montgomery has, issues with control. But he's been good the last couple games, only 5 walks last 3 starts. And he got the strikeouts up the last 2, 3 back. He only had 1 strikeout, and that was a concern for me, but he righted the ship on that end.
Well, Marco, probably a little bit inspired by Johnny's ticket on his Detroit Tigers, but I actually grabbed a piece of the Jays to win the division at 49-1. And then I had a bunch of people telling me, well, Andrew, it doesn't matter the number you got if they're going to lose.
This is true.
We got Cross the Boss, interesting name there, saying can't wait for MLB postseason. You're speaking for us as well. Can't wait. Short, unique season. It's going to be interesting.
It is going to be fascinating because there's no days off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just going to be playing every day, and I'm going to be curious to see what the managers do in terms of how they configure their rotation and what they do in the bullpen. It's going to be a challenge for those guys. That's why just a quick thought. I think the best managers, the guys I rate at the top, I'm not going to be going against them. That would be Bob Melvin, who I think he's the best manager in baseball. Kevin Cash, who's the mad scientist in Tampa, is certainly a guy who comes to mind. And I'm going to be fascinated to see what takes place. It's going to be different from any postseason we've ever seen.
Certainly, and we'll definitely get some handicapping strategies and move forward into those playoff picks, obviously, when that time does come. Dave, I'm going to throw right back to you with the Marlins taking on the Braves here, Lopez and Anderson.
Well, Marlins getting some help because this has not been a good series for them, but they haven't, fallen out of things because the teams that they're battling with are also losing games. But this Atlanta team, the offense on this team is just ridiculous. Anderson's been pretty good. Lopez is back to being Lopez from Miami, so maybe he can contain them. It's a bigger game for Miami, but I don't know. I just step in front of that Atlanta offense right now, and they are just whacking the ball. That's too daunting for me. It's been a little money on Miami, and I guess I can see it at the price, but not mine. I will admit that I am just plain fearful of trying to beat the Braves right now.
Tony?
Yeah. If you're going to back, you could back Miami here. I think I could make an argument where you did back Miami, but Dave's right. You have two things that go wrong. Ian Anderson has to be off a little bit like it was in his last start. Walks, command issues. And Lopez has got to shut down Miami. Lopez has it with Wallach behind the plate. They put Wallach behind the plate with him last two times. He's 2-0. Has pitched great.
Yeah.
September 9th, when he pitched against Atlanta, they just absolutely destroyed Lopez.
But he couldn't find the strike zone in that game.
That's correct. You're right. So it's one of those deals where we can make that argument, like Dave said, for Lopez, and Miami needs to win this game. But, man, Atlanta's hitting the ball.
Yeah, Marco, it seems to me, I've been discussing teams that might be calling it in and teams that are going to play right until the end. The Marlins are one of those teams, I think, but I'm just not sure it's a spot to bet on them tonight.
Well, this is a spot where Lopez, the last two starts definitely were good starts for him, and that's probably why we see the money come in on Miami. But what really surprised me is we've also seen money come in on the under. And the way that Atlanta's hitting the baseball right now and the way Miami's pitching staff has been getting rocked. Once you get past Lopez, you're going to go back to that bullpen, which the bullpen's been getting lit up. They've given up, and I had to double check my math here, 40 runs in the last 4 games.
Yikes.
That's kind of hard to do, okay? And again, because there's no days off, there's no chance for the bullpen to catch their breath, okay? It's, from one fire to the next fire. And I can't pull the trigger on the under, and I'll give you 2 stats here that support the over as well. Atlanta's 14-3 to the over after 2 or more consecutive wins this season, and Miami, after 2 or more consecutive losses, are 11-2 to the over. And the one thing on Anderson, although his ERA is really good, the last 3 starts, the strikeout to walk ratio is a concern for me of 21-11. I just don't like seeing pitchers that are giving away that many free passes. You give away those free passes, you make one bad pitch, and all of a sudden you got a 3-run inning there with a mistake. In the way they're hitting the baseball, these two teams, I can't bet the under. To me, I lean to the over, but there is money coming in on the under, and it's one of those ones I'm never going to change a play because of seeing money come a certain way. But sometimes when one just doesn't make sense to me, it makes me tap the brakes a little bit.
I think the thing here is, if you're going to look at the under, don't you? You have to take your chances with Anderson and Lopez and play at first 5. Andrew, you mentioned teams wearing down, and I think that's happened to the Marlins, and I think it explains some of their bullpen problems. All those games they missed at the outset of this 60-game season, they've had to catch up, and this team's had no time off, and I think that's where their bullpen really has been affected because they've had to use guys who probably aren't even major league ready at this point just to fill out games, and they're kind of paying for it now.
And that's a great point, Dave. Just to elaborate on that, my opinion is that it doesn't always affect teams directly a couple games after. It like you said, it affects them in the longevity of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a hangover in the morning. You might not feel it until a couple of days after or at night. Then you start to feel it. These Marlins might be feeling that after playing so many games, and a lot of double headers as well. This next one coming up here, this is actually a client play for me. Baltimore taking on the Boston Red Sox. I'll throw it to you in this one, Dave.
Well, look, the Orioles have gone real bad after somehow contending for a while. They're limping in a big way to the finish line. The flip side of it is I can guarantee you I've never laid $150 with Martin Perez, and I'm not going to start now. The metrics do favor Cobb, but all the team stuff favors the Red Sox. So that's a wash for me. I can't play either side here.
Numbers certainly jumped up here, Tony.
Yeah. Listen, if you're a fantasy guy, I sell. If anyone will give you any money for Cobb, I say sell. If they'll give you a player for Cobb, sell him. When he's good, I'd never think he's very good, and I think he's been. It's just funny. Even when he performs well, he worries you every time he throws a pitch. The fact that his hard contact again is still way too high, and Dave's right. Listen. I would have to say that Lopez or Martin Perez has been Boston's most reliable guy on the mound this year, right? He's gone. Yeah.
I'd say Eovaldi.
Okay.
When he's healthy, but Eovaldi he goes on the disabled list every 2 weeks, so I guess it's Martin Perez. He's been around for a while.
Yeah. All he has to do is those 6 shutout innings like he did against the Yankees.
How did that happen?
I don't know, but it happened, and it can surely happen tonight. If for a buck, listen, it's $140, $150, which is Dave's right. That's a lot to lay on a guy who's never made you say wow, But
all that said,
yeah,
if I'm playing the game, I'd have to play the Red Sox.
I agree with you. I do. Yeah.
Tony, a quick question for you, if you could answer it for us.
Sure.
Is there a client play for you this afternoon? The write-up does not match the selection.
I'm sorry, say it, yours?
Just what's posted on the screen there. Just read the message that was given to you.
I'm sorry. I pull that screen down because I get too caught up in the good looks of it.
Somebody's asking you a client play this afternoon.
Is there a client play this afternoon? The write-up doesn't match the selection. If they're talking about me, I have nothing posted yet for. So if there's something up there, I'm going to guess it may be. Listen, guys, we have some plays that haven't been graded, and they will still show up in the client section.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And so
I noticed it was when because I had to. I had a couple of golf plays from September 1st that was still showing up in my feed. It's like those are done. So we just put together the new site, and there's still a few little glitches here and there. So
if it doesn't match, it's probably a good thing. If it doesn't match, play it. That's what I say. Play it. No, it's from yesterday, guys.
Marco, I guess it's a pretty good segue that Dave opened up for us, having you on the show here. First of all, we'll get your closing thoughts on this game, but what can you tell us that the goal was for this new website? What are you liking about it, and what was the goal with the new website?
Well, we wanted to give the site a fresh look, and we've got a lot of changes coming where we want to make it, more user-friendly. We want to be able to have more features on there. The lines feed is something that we've been working on a lot. We want to make our free line feed as valuable as, almost as valuable as a lot of the pay sites that charge for line service. And it is one of the fastest, if not the fastest, free line service out there. Our updates, most of the places when you pay for a line service, you're getting the instant updates. A lot of the free sites, you're on a few minute delay. We are the quickest free one out there, and that's something I'm proud of. And then we're just going to continue to add stuff. As you know, with all of these shows we're doing, we want to be able to house all of our shows in convenient spots so everybody can sit down and, pop a big bowl of popcorn and, fire up the YouTube channel and watch all of our shows, Andrew, because, basically we got almost nonstop programming for like, a 3-hour period every day. And then all of the extra stuff doing the Bet On It shows and all of the weekly game videos. There's a lot of content to consume at Wager Talk, and that's something we're really proud of. Getting back to this game, I love saying it, so I always like to quote it. With Baltimore right now, with them being 3-12 the last 15, and as Dave said, for a brief period they entertained staying in contention. But as Dennis Green would say, they are who we thought they were. They are garbage. And just to quantify how bad they've been playing, the 3-12 record, over the last 7 games, they have only scored more than 3 runs one time in the last 7 games. Now they're facing a Boston team that I never thought in the last month of the season I would ever utter the words that there's only one way to play this game, and that is to take the Red Sox and lay a price with them. The one concern I have, Dave, and you said not trusting Perez, I generally like veterans at the end of the season if they've got a couple good games because, they like to finish the season out on a good note. But with that said, I'm going to throw up the old asterisk. That last game was so good, and it was against the Yankees. And you see it, and you even joked, where the hell did that come from? He's right for a letdown. That's my only concern after shutting out the Yankees in that one, because that definitely was the high point of the season for him. So I lean to Boston. There's no way I want any part of Baltimore, but that is my one concern. I wish that 6-inning shutout was against anybody other than the Yankees, and I would be all over Boston tonight if it was.
By the way, if the Red Sox win tonight, they will tie the Orioles in the standings, I believe. Yeah. So, try and avoid last place. That might mean something.
Little motivation. Yeah, nobody likes to be last.
No.
Definitely. Cameron, quick question asking me, do I mainly cover baseball or which other sports do I do? Cameron, mainly known for actually NHL and CFL, but right now doing NHL, MLB, NBA, and UFC action on the weekends. So kind of a mixed bag across all sports right now and keeping it to about 1 to 2 MLB picks per night. Guys, we'll blast through the rest of these games here, keep things moving forward, the Tigers and the Royals. Dave, I want to start with you with this one.
I haven't backed Fulmer at all, and I'm not going to start now. Bubic is, guy who's done okay for a rookie. About 170. Nah, I don't really want to do that. Boy, they bet the Royals heavily today. That opened 140. That's now 170. Woo! You don't see the Royals get pounded like that very often, but it tells you where what people are looking at with the Tigers right now, who've got, a substitute manager who's not going to be there next year, and the Tigers and Orioles are the two teams that overachieved for about the first 40 games and just set in. They're both awful baseball teams and are playing that way.
I feel like it was about a week ago, Dave, that I said that I wasn't going to be interested in betting on some of these types of teams, and I was speaking a lot about what Hunter would always say. But lately, I actually feel like that's where some of the value could be, and that's where some of the better spots would be. And I think it's okay to change your mind. I recognize that's where I've actually found some success. For sure, there's been some teams that I found, that had the motivation. But like we said just a few moments ago, you and Marco, and I used to joke around with you on the Korean baseball show. We used to call it, when I was in college and high school, the toilet bowl game. The battle of not being flushed down the toilet and being the worst team in the league. Show some pride. And some teams certainly have that.
The popular teams are not easy to bet because you're always paying a premium. No, to me, it doesn't matter what level the teams are at. If it's a good bet out there, I'll take it. I mean, you've got You got about as bad a college football matchup as you could ever find this weekend as UTEP against UL Monroe. Arguably the two worst teams currently playing in FBS. I don't have a play in the game, but believe me, I took a long look at it to see if I could find something. I just didn't. But no, it doesn't matter to me whether teams are good or bad. Bad teams cover spreads and win games too.
Marco, Royals and Tigers?
Yeah, no part of Fulmer for me, but my concern in this one, price got away from it. I'm not going to lay that price with Kansas City. And I'll put out the old public warning. Yeah, they're battling for not having the worst record there in the division, but Kansas City's coming off a big series. They got to play spoiler against St. Louis, even though it's an interleague. You say that's not, a rival. Well, it is because of the proximity of the teams, the location-wise. That was big for Kansas City to go in there and play spoiler, taking 2 out of 3. That's my only concern. After that series, now you're looking at Detroit. Other than you want to finish in front of them, where's the motivation? I don't want to lay that, but this Kansas City kid starter, he's been phenomenal. And 9 starts this season. 8 of those 9 starts have gone under the total. Maybe might want to look at a team total and bet under on Detroit for the team total in this one. Might be the way to go if you want to find an alternate way to play the game. That's not my wheelhouse. I know that's something, like Matt Joseph would look at, or maybe even you, Andrew. But that would be something that would pique my interest.
What about you, Tony? It seems like the consensus here is that it's definitely not Fulmer, and possibly some way of either a downgrade, team total under with Detroit, or fading them. What do you think here, side or total?
I take everything with a grain of salt you hear on young pitchers, and I have guys that I talk to about it every week, every day. In a good season, in the middle of the summer, they're bringing up prospects, and this kid, Dave's right. If you like him. If you trust Matheny, he says good things. Everyone I talk to says this kid's going to get nothing but better. And if it was Milwaukee, his last start, he was great, but it was Milwaukee. So not that they're any offensive juggernaut. Here's the deal. Fulmer's going to go as 1 or 2 innings, and then you're going to get the Detroit bullpen, right? I mean, he hasn't gone more than 3 innings, I think, all year, Fulmer. So he's basically kind of a pseudo opener. And so the price, if you want to lay $1 a little more than you probably should ever on Kansas City in this situation, in this scenario, today would be the day, I guess.
Once again, I just want to shout out that package we do have. I think we had a few questions in our chat room about that. It's 60 days, all action, both websites, both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com for $378, originally $349 for 1 month. I believe this expires Sunday evening, so head over and grab that now. It seems like it's been very popular, and for good reason, guys. $378, no coupon code needed. This will be displayed on every single handicapper's profile page, so head over and grab that. Also, our coupon code, daily10, as you can see at the bottom of your screen there, $10 off. Any play, $25 or more for Dave, for Tony, for Marco, for myself, all featured at wagertalk.com. Houston, the Astros taking on Texas Rangers. Well, Lynn's on the mound. That's one okay thing there, Marco.
Yeah, this is one of those ones, Andrew, that I'm going to look at the under. It's the only way to go, and I'm going to look first 5 innings. Lance Lynn's been phenomenal, all year long. And I'll just say this with him because I know we're running long. The last 2 seasons, when he pitches at night, 30 games he's started at night, the under is 22-8. And the average runs scored in those 30 games, 7.7. I'll take under for the first 5 innings in this one, and neither team is scoring runs right now. Houston's only scored more than 3 runs twice in the last 9 games, that's Texas. Once in the last 7 for Houston. I'll take under first 5.
No argument here. Lynn's been the best. He's been the clear MVP on the Rangers, and Texas can't hit at all. So, and they're starting a bunch of guys that have played basically Class A level, so they're a little overmatched. Yeah, that makes sense to me, Marco.
Tony?
Yeah, Listen, I played last week. I was on the show. It was, I think a week ago today, or maybe it was Friday. I said to you guys, listen, I'm playing Lynn. At that price, dog price, I'm playing Lynn. I don't care who the Texas offense is. I had a 3-0 lead at one point, but I ended up losing 4-3. They scored 3 in a row, and I don't catch that dog price. However, I would say the same thing here. However, if there's an Achilles for Javier, it's the fact he's been really good, guys. 1.01 whip. His ERA is mid threes. He's given up 10 home runs in about 30 innings. If this lineup could threaten to hit the ball deep, I'd probably take Lynn. In this case, I agree. Unders. If you're going to play something here, I think unders is play.
Yeah, and I think we've been stressing first 5 unders, but this might be one of those scenarios where, you want to isolate Lynn. You want to make sure he's in there, even though these teams probably couldn't hit a beach ball coming at them. You probably still want to grab the first 5 innings with this one. Moving forwards, the Brewers taking on the Cardinals. This time I'm going to start with you, Marco.
Yeah, this is probably one of the top 2 games of the night. You've got Milwaukee and St. Louis. They're in a deadlock battle, battling for playoff positions. Whether these teams are going to finish second or the wild card, everything's up in play for these guys as far as the chase goes. And you look at Corbin Burns, last 3 starts for Milwaukee. He's got an ERA of 0.5 wide. The kid has been unbelievable in the whip of 0.73. You look at the St. Louis starter. Here's another guy that's been red hot. He had only allowed 1 run in his first 5 starts until he gave up 4 in his last. And I'm going to pull a Dave, like he said with Martin Perez. Where did that start come from? Because he gave up 4 runs to the Pittsburgh Pirates, of all people. This is a spot where 2 good guys. Milwaukee does hit lefties. They're 11-5 versus lefties this year. And an interesting stat on St. Louis, when they are not hitting the baseball well, last 2 games, no home runs. Well, over the last 2 seasons, when that has happened, back-to-back games with no dingers, they're just 8-18 in the next game. I got a weak vote for Milwaukee. This is going to be a good game. To me, this is the one I'm the most excited to see tonight is this one.
Yeah, it is the best game on the board in terms of interest. Burns has been amazing. He's always had a good arm. And I think he was trying to strike everybody out last year and he'd lose control in the strike zone and the ball would go a long way. But he's figured things out. The Cardinals last night let Carlos Martinez, they let him take one for the team. That was a game where they were down early and I think they said, old vet, you're going to have to just go out there and suck it up. And he got destroyed. But he did save the bullpen some innings, which they'll probably need tonight because Kim is not a guy who goes deep. So the better Cardinal relievers are fresh enough coming into this game. I think this could be one of those 3-2 battles. And it's a game I want to watch. I know there's football tonight, and I'm going to watch that, but I'm going to have one eye on this game too. No bet for me, but it should be a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, Tony, Marco talks about how it's going to be one of those ones to watch. A great game to watch tonight, obviously a competitive one. Does that make it more interesting to you? Does that make it harder to handicap? Is there an angle that you approach when looking at this game?
Well, I'm going to make this short because I know that is, Dave, you guys were talking about something earlier, and that was how the Cardinals had that time off, and they've been jamming a bunch of games in. Well, guess what? I'm going to be in-game live tonight in this game. I want to see what goes on. Burns has been really good. Milwaukee still, even against left-handers, as good as they've been. I back off a little. I'm a little queasy about their offense and what they've done in many situations this year. But I'm in game live because if they get to this bullpen early for St. Louis, then even though they had rest last night, I'm probably going to play against St. Louis in game live if this situation all weekend long because I believe they're beat tired, just like you guys talked about.
And Tony, right back at you. Like you said, running out of time a little bit tight for it. So keep it short with us if you can. As Oakland and LA Dodgers go head-to-head here.
I'm going to make it short. I didn't release this play. I personally played Fires, and I'm not a big Fires fan, but I'm playing against the Dodgers right now. Last night, I caught them last night. Like Dave, we got $1.40 on a dog price with Oakland. It needed to win. I liked it. I'm going to take a shot at my $1.90 tonight.
Well, I don't think Oakland needed the win necessarily, but right. I think they're excited to play the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And this game's overpriced. So if you're just looking for a value play, the idea of getting almost $2 with Oakland is not unappealing. And Buehler, at this point, the main thing for Buehler is to get him through the start, make sure he doesn't have any blister issues, and have him ready for next week.
Yeah, Marco, like Dave said, I don't think Oakland needed the win, but I don't think the Dodgers needed it either.
No.
And congrats, Dave, on that win. Great price for you. Is it a spot to look at once again, though, Marco?
There's the only way to play the game, if you're playing the game, is you're going to take the value, because really right now, as Dave touched with Buehler, it's really about both teams as far as the pitching goes. Right now, when you don't have anything to play for, you just want to get your pitchers through and get your rotation set for the playoffs. And you don't know how long they're going to let the guys go. So for me, I lean to Oakland because of the price. It is overpriced. And I said I had one more quirky Thursday stat. Well, this is it. The Oakland A's are the masters of the getaway day. They're 17-5 the last 2 seasons on Thursdays. Throw that stat for you there, and you're getting a big price with a pitcher that's not going to put a lot of innings in, because they're not going to want to risk him developing another blister heading into the playoffs, because let's face it, the Dodgers are, they need the 1-2 punch. They need a healthy Buehler and a Kershaw, and that is the biggest concern here, and that's not when I'm going to lay a big price.
Once again, guys, one last time, that coupon code is DAILY10, just as it's spelled. You see right there on your screen, DAILY10 for $10 off any play of $25 or more value. That's good until midnight tonight. For anybody at Wager Talk, including Dave, Marco, Tony, and myself. And again, I have my 5% play in the NFL tonight. First NFL 5% release of the season. To all of you guys out there viewing this show, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the best of luck in your NBA action, MLB, whatever it may be. For Tony, for Marco, for Dave, thanks again, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Usual time, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on First Pitch.